Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the science of why our phones feel almost magnetic, why it's so incredibly hard to just put them down and look away. And let's start our journey right here with this line from James Joyce, written more than 100 years ago. It's such a powerful way to describe someone who is, well, just not really there, disconnected. And doesn't that feel so familiar today? That feeling of being in a room, but your mind is completely lost somewhere in the digital world. It's an experience we all share, but here's the twist. The reason for it isn't some new age phenomenon. It's actually a survival program that's been running in our brains for millions of years. To really get why you just felt the urge to check your phone, we have to go way, way back. We've got to look at the ancient software that's still running on our evolutionary hardware. You see, for our ancestors, this constant drive to seek out new information, it wasn't a bug. It was a feature. It was a massive survival advantage. The early humans who were the most curious, the ones most driven to explore and find out what was over the next hill, well, they were the ones who found food, avoided becoming food, and figured out the complex social dynamics of their tribes. Now, here's a super important point. The chemical that drives all of this, dopamine, is almost completely misunderstood. We love to call it the pleasure chemical, but that's not really what it is. Think of it as the chemical of motivation, of wanting, of seeking. It's that little voice in your head that says, hey, look over there, go get that. And this right here is the key to the whole puzzle. Dopamine is what drives the search. Other chemicals, like opioids, are what give us that feeling of pleasure and satisfaction, the liking. Our brains are literally wired to get a bigger kick out of anticipating a reward than actually getting it. The hunt is way more exciting than the prize. So what happens when you take this ancient survival system and drop it into our modern world? Well, as we're about to see, it gets hijacked and masterfully exploited by our digital environment. This is the loop that has us all in its grip. It starts with a cue, a notification, a little red badge, or even just a moment of boredom. That triggers our seeking system. We instinctively check our phone, and we get a tiny little hit of novelty, a micro reward. But here's the kicker. Before we can feel any real satisfaction, boom, another cue pops up, and the loop starts all over again. And you know what makes this loop so powerful? Tech companies figured out how to make the rewards completely unpredictable. It's the exact same principle that makes a slot machine in Vegas so addictive. You never know which pull of the lever, or in our case, which flick of the thumb, is going to deliver that little jackpot of a new like or message. And that uncertainty sends our dopamine system into overdrive. Okay, and this is where the real problem kicks in. You know, our natural drives, like hunger, they have a built-in off switch. You eat, you feel full, you stop. But our drive for information, it has no off switch. It never needed one, because for almost all of human history, new information was rare. Now, the endless scroll gives our seeking brain exactly what it's always wanted, an infinite hunt with no finish line. So what we have here is this giant conflict. We are running ancient, Stone Age software in a completely modern, high-tech world. And, the system is starting to glitch out. I mean, just look at how the amount of information our brains have to process has completely exploded. For most of human history, all we had to deal with was local, survival-critical stuff. Now, we are literally drowning in an infinite, personalized, 24/7 stream of global information that our poor brains were just never, ever designed to handle. This is the mismatch, right, at the heart of the problem. Our brain's single greatest survival strategy, its relentless drive to seek out new information, has been turned against it by an environment of effortless, infinite novelty. A strength has been turned into a vulnerability. So, if our ancient brain is being hijacked, how on earth do we get back in the driver's seat? The answer is surprisingly simple, though maybe not so easy to do. It all comes down to where we choose to put our attention. As the writer Eckhart Tolle says, our energy is literally being sucked into our screens. The antidote he suggests is to consciously pull that attention back, into the body. And this isn't just some philosophical idea. It's a direct, neurologically sound strategy for taking back control. Think about it, when you're just mindlessly scrolling, you're on autopilot. You're running on your brain's old habit circuits. But the moment you deliberately shift your focus to a physical sensation, like your breath or the feeling of your feet on the floor, you activate your prefrontal cortex. That's the CEO of your brain. It's the part responsible for impulse control. You are literally, neurologically applying the brakes. And every single time you do this, you create this tiny little space between the impulse to check your phone and the action of actually doing it. You strengthen the part of your brain that makes conscious choices, you help reset your overstimulated reward system, and you pull yourself out of that digital tunnel vision and back into the real world. All right, so let's get practical. How can we actually turn all this knowledge into real, actionable steps to start retraining our brains like right now? And here is the absolute best news of all. Your brain is not fixed. It is literally designed to change based on what you do and where you focus. It's called neuroplasticity. Those habits that feel so deeply ingrained and automatic right now, they can absolutely be rewired. You have the power to do it. And these strategies are all about making that old compulsive habit harder to do and way less appealing, while at the same time building a new, more intentional pathway. You can take a break to reset your system, practice mindfulness, or just add a little friction. Seriously, just leaving your phone in another room to force yourself off autopilot. The key here is to just start small. Use totally normal everyday moments as your training ground. When you're washing your hands, just focus on the feeling of the water. When you're walking to your car, just feel your feet hitting the pavement. Think of them as little push-ups for your attention muscle. They really do add up over time. Now, a quick heads up. When you first start turning your attention inward, it might feel a little uncomfortable. You might notice some tension or restlessness you were totally numb to before. That's completely normal. The goal isn't to immediately fix it. It's just to notice it with a sense of curiosity. That simple act of observation is what starts to take away its power over you. Because ultimately, this whole battle for our focus really comes down to this one question. Understanding the ancient wiring that makes us so vulnerable, well, that's the first step. The next step is to consciously decide where this incredible and very finite resource of your attention is actually going to go. And that choice is and will always be yours to make.